We're here at the Redvick Peace Cafe in San Francisco, continuing our conversation with Rosemary Smithson. You can see the peace signs behind them. President of U.S. Women Connect, and Marilyn Fowler, President and CEO of the Women's Intercultural Network. And Rosemary, in the next video, we're going to talk with you more about U.S. Women Connect, but I just wanted to ask both of you, last night we celebrated the Women's Intercultural Network, and there were so many amazing, long-time, trailblazing activists in the audience, and I couldn't help but look at you and all of the women and just think about the work you've all done since the 50s, fighting for my rights and all of my peers. And so many of the things you fought for and won are being pulled out from under you. I mean, the 5 Republican women that won their primaries not only oppose abortion, but they also oppose abortion even in cases of rape and incest. And usually Republicans, they don't want to admit that. And if a reporter, which reporters don't ask this enough, if they say, do you oppose abortion even in cases of rape and incest, they usually say no, but now they're saying yes. This is a first. So how do you feel about that? I mean, when you look at all the work that you've done over the years.
Is this me?
Rosemary.
Well, I'll do just a quick one, and this is treading very lightly on this because I do need to mention the religions getting together. In other words, I don't think anything happens just with people running around in the street. You have to have leadership against it, and then people will follow. And what we were finding in Missouri is that suddenly, after years of hating one another, the evangelicals and the Catholic Church leadership got together. And of course, women were put down. I mean, that was something that they could gather their group together. And we'll have even a woman who said recently, well, I don't believe in everything anymore in the church, but I want to die a good Catholic. And so she opposes abortion. So we had a whole new fight to fight. The women have a whole new fight to fight because we're fighting a male hierarchy, a religious male hierarchy. I mean, they can bring gods in, and we really can't or don't. And so it's a whole new battle, and it's a very interesting battle because many of the women in these religions are parsing it. I mean, as a friend of mine said, the cafeteria Catholic is a reality. A lot of the women are saying, no, I don't believe in that. But it's still, that's very difficult. And when your priest or your minister stands up on Sunday and says, now I have to remind you, vote Tuesday for so-and-so, a lot of people just simply do that. Most people don't have enough time to worry about different political. If your religious leader says go vote for so-and-so, you're just not going to worry about a lot of things to vote. So we have a whole new battle on our hands that we didn't have in the early days.
And Marilyn, you've told me before that in the 70s you saw a lot of this coming and you warned people, but you felt like people didn't really listen to what you were saying.
I don't remember what I told you, but what when Rosemary said we've got a new battle, and what I have seen coming, and I actually heard this from women in other countries before it became this reality here, was how do we get women to support women? How do we get women beyond this competitiveness that they get into around male power? And I think what we have to take note of now, and with women's organizations as women organizers, is how do we reach the women who are supporting women who are so opposed to everything we have fought for, and like you say, things we're losing. I don't understand these women that are saying they're opposed to abortion for anything. I don't understand that. We need to be able to have conversations with them. We're not doing that. And one of the paths that we're trying to take here in California with Jean Shinoda Boland is the women that she has been connecting to around the country through Gather the Women, and they call themselves spiritual feminists. And I think we're missing some links here, because through them, they are totally opposed to this fundamentalism that's going on with some of the women more in the East. And I think we have got to use that path maybe to get to reach some of these women. My cousin was here from Florida a while back. Hello, Nancy. And we love each other. We get along great. We don't connect that often. She's a Republican in Florida, and we talk politics, but we mostly talk about issues because her big issue is health care. And we can connect around those issues. But also, those people just digressed me. Anyway, and somehow or other, I need to go down to Florida and sit down with her and her friends and find out what's going on in their minds. Because she'll ask me about Hillary or Obama, because she wants to know, like, she doesn't understand that part of the thinking. We've got to have more conversations now across some of these religious lines, if that's what it is. I don't understand, that conversation, but I think we're missing some connections there with women who are on the other side of the fence politically. Where I'm thinking.
Well, I just like to say women really need to run. More women need to run. We counted up, and I believe in 2008, and again, my little laboratory is only Missouri. I can't talk for any other state, but something like 4 men ran for office for every 1 woman running for office for our state legislature. Well, fair is fair. I mean, we can't have political equality if it's a 4-to-1 ratio running. We have to have a lot more women decide to run, and of course we hope there'll be progressive women, but at this point what we're working for, and I think this is very exciting because I think goals are great, that we can kind of clamp onto it, and so there's a huge movement out now of 2020 by 50-50 by 2020. In other words, we got the right to vote in 1920. 2020 is coming up. We're at the 90th anniversary of suffrage, and where are we electorally? Most places, nothing. There are 18 states that have no women ought in their congressional delegation out of 50. That's ridiculous. It's time that these states, there's one of the back east states too that's a good liberal state, leadership and everything, and they have no women. I wish I could remember which state it was. I'm just afraid to say the one I think it is, because it may be wrong. But we're working pretty hard in various ways. There are ways women are getting to this, but in Missouri, for instance, we have 163 seats in our House. There are only 36 women. Now, if we could elect 7 or 8 in every election period, that counts 2010 through 2020, we could be at 50-50 in our House. And so that's a new goal for us. But it does mean the women have to stand up and run. And it also means it can't happen in just our 2 major cities. It has to happen all across the state. And what I hope, sincerely hope, is that other women's organizations are reaching out to their women in rural areas and in other, how can I say, demographics. In other words, there's a wonderful indigenous woman, who is in Oklahoma, and she is getting Native Americans, I don't know which euphemism to use. In New Mexico, we can still use the word Indian. But she is getting a lot of indigenous people to run, and she ran in Oklahoma, and after all, that was a Vale of Tears state for Indians, and how wonderful. And of course the Democrats ran somebody against her in the primary and bumped her off. But in the long run, it's been positive because she started this whole organization, and she now has the head of the Democratic Party. It's called Indians List.